9 experienced hikers, a frozen mountain pass, a silent night broken by chaos. When rescuers arrived weeks later, they found a scene that defied all explanation. Bodies scattered across the snow, some half-dressed, some horrifically injured. Over 6 decades, theories have swirled. Avalanches, government experiments, alien encounters. But what if the real horror wasn't something that came from the outside? What if it came from within? In January 1959, a group of 9 seasoned hikers, students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnic Institute, set out to conquer Mount Oterten, deep within the frozen Siberian wilderness. They were strong, they were experienced, and yet, they never returned. When rescue teams finally found their camp weeks later, they discovered something chilling. The hikers' tent had been slashed open from the inside. The bodies were scattered across the slope. Some were barely clothed, their bare feet and hands frozen solid in the snow. The injuries were unlike anything rescuers had ever seen: crushed ribs, fractured skulls, and in one case, a missing tongue. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of an enemy, just a group of hikers who seemingly fled their tent into certain death. Over the decades, dozens of theories have tried to explain the Dyatlov Pass mystery. Some claim it was a sudden avalanche, forcing the hikers to escape without time to think. Others whisper of secret military tests gone wrong, experiments the government covered up at any cost. Still more point to something not of this world. Strange lights reported in the sky the night the hikers vanished. And of course, there are wilder claims of yetis or unknown predators stalking them in the night. But there's a theory few talk about. A theory far more unsettling. That the real enemy wasn't an avalanche, a monster, or an alien. It was fear itself. Extreme cold doesn't just affect the body, it can destroy the mind. In temperatures plunging below -30 degrees Celsius, the brain begins to malfunction. Victims of severe hypothermia often experience confusion, hallucinations, and a deadly phenomenon known as paradoxical undressing, when freezing victims rip off their clothing, convinced they're burning up. The Dyatlov hikers were highly skilled, but no training can prepare you for your own mind turning against you. One theory suggests that inside that cramped, storm-battered tent, something happened. One hiker, already deep in the throes of hypothermic confusion, panicked. Terrified and disoriented, they tore open the tent, desperate to escape an imagined threat. In the chaos, the others followed, half asleep, half aware, stepping into a deathly blizzard without realizing it. Separated from each other by the storm, the group faced impossible choices. Some tried to climb trees for visibility, injuring themselves in the process. Others fled downhill, only to fall into a ravine, breaking bones, skulls, and ribs in violent impacts. Fear can spread faster than fire. In survival psychology, it's known as collective panic, when a group loses rational thought, feeding off each other's terror. It doesn't take monsters, it doesn't take aliens. It only takes a few seconds of fear to unravel everything. Picture it. The freezing wind screeches across the mountain. Inside the tent, bodies shift in uneasy sleep, exhausted, aching, cold beyond imagination. Someone wakes suddenly, disoriented. In the haze of hypothermia, reality begins to blur. Maybe they think the tent is collapsing. Maybe they believe they're suffocating. Maybe in their confusion they think something, or someone, is attacking. Terrified, they tear open the tent, frantic to escape. Panic spreads like wildfire. The others wake, startled, confused, fueled by the terror they see in each other's eyes. Barefoot, half-dressed, they plunge into the blizzard. Snow blinds them. The cold sears their skin like flame. In the dark, they lose each other. Some stumble toward the trees, desperate for shelter. One climbs a cedar tree seeking safety or a view of the tent, tearing the skin from his hands in the process. Others, lost in the blinding whiteout, fall into a hidden ravine. Their bodies crash against the ice with brutal force, crushing ribs, fracturing skulls. They don't scream. The cold steals their breath too quickly. and the mountain swallows them whole. Of course, no single theory answers every question. Some experts insist that a small avalanche or slab slide could have triggered the initial panic, forcing the hikers to flee without time to think. Others believe secret Soviet military tests explain the strange lights seen in the sky that night, and perhaps even the government's strangely secretive investigation afterward. And then there are those who still whisper of encounters with something unknown, lights, beings, presences that science refuses to name. The truth is, we may never know for certain, but sometimes the most terrifying answers aren't hidden in conspiracy theories or lurking in the shadows. Sometimes the real horror lies within us, in the small cracks where fear, cold, and confusion can slip through, breaking even the strongest bonds of reason and survival. What do you believe happened that night at Dyatlov Pass? Was it a tragedy of the mind, or something more? Let us know your theory in the comments below. And if you crave more journeys into history's greatest mysteries, subscribe to Cryptoria and join us as we uncover the hidden, the haunted, and the unexplained.